Investor's Edge with Gary Kaltbaum. Straight talk about you and your money. Now from the BizTalk studios, here is Gary Kaltbaum.
And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Kaltbaum, your host. Hey, thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you are listening. It's Thursday, April 11th, 2024. The Masters started today. I'm heading there tomorrow night for Saturday with my son. Can't wait. Hope you're having a good day. We got lots to cover. You know, we do markets, and there are moments in time in the markets where we're louder, sometimes softer, sometimes we just kick back, and sometimes the big whoa. And you never know when it's going to come, where it's going to come from, what the reason it is. And we don't care what the reason is. We just care what. We're just letting you know up front, before we even introduce ourselves, the Dow is down 2 today. The Dow is down 2 points today. In a few minutes, wait till you hear what else went on. But first, if you do not get this radio show in your city, we'll post it at GaryK.com. We'll also post it on our Twitter feed, which is now X. And if you don't follow us on Twitter, you should, or X. Just put our name in and follow us. And of course, you email us, just be nice. And if you don't get this radio show in your, I just said that. I want to start. I had something in my mind and it just went up front. We always tell you we want to talk about you and your money and all that fun stuff. But every now and then we want to talk about something that has nothing to do with you and your money. Just what we're thinking about or what we see. And the one thing that stuck out for me today, O.J. Simpson died. Now, we're not supposed to stomp on the dead. Let me just say, if there is somebody we could stomp on, this would be that person. A wife beater and a murderer. And I don't know if you know, but we have told you many times, when we want to learn something, we really go in depth. We really want to study it. We studied what this man did to his wife and Ron Goldman. If you don't want to be sick to your stomach, don't ever read the autopsy report of what this man did. And he was found innocent, which leads me to my other part of the equation, where we always tell you, even when you hear me on radio, even when you see my handsome and buffed face on TV, don't believe a word I say. You should do your homework and check it out, even me. And of course, it goes for everybody else too. Do you know why we say that when it comes to the O.J. Simpson trial? I would have won that case. Marcia Clark blew the whole case, screwed the whole thing up, and she got a job on CNN, her own show. A miserable failure, the crime of the century, the easiest, the evidence, way. His blood was at the death scene. His own blood was mixed in at the death scene. His finger was cut. He threatened suicide. He went on a chase. He beat the crap out of her several times in the past, showing violence. They had everything. And they decided to be stars instead. It was open and shut. But they decided I wanted to be in front of the camera for as long as I can, and they dragged the frickin' thing out. It was a gimme. Just letting you know. I was just thinking about that today because I realized I was on TV today. I have my own radio show. They gave Marsha Clark her show. It was CNN, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think it was, yes. They rewarded miserable failure. Can I say may he rot? Let me put it a different way. You ever see the movie Ghost? You know what happened to the bad guys? These little shadows came and took them away and then went south. Let's just hope that happens to him. Is that mean? I bet you Ron Goldman's family doesn't think that's mean. I bet you his ex-wife that he murdered, their family doesn't think that's mean. Anyway, we move on because we're very good at segueing here. But before I leave that, I was just thinking about that today. They found him innocent. And just so you know how it works, beyond a shadow of a doubt. And what they did, they brought this guy on, a police officer, and maybe he was racist, and the police may have planted his blood. Yeah, sure, right? But it was the worst. And of course, if it doesn't fit, must acquit, the gloves. Anyway. Okay. We're past that. The next thing I want to bring up as we segue to the market. We have warned you about any company mentioning artificial intelligence. Just any company mentioning artificial intelligence to goose their stocks in the market. And then there are some companies that may be a little bit more important when mentioned. So let me read to you something that came out today on a company you may have heard of, Apple. Bloomberg put out something. Apple and by the way, this is planted by Apple to Bloomberg. Apple plans to overhaul the entire Mac line, that is their computers, with AI-focused M4 chips. Company working on rapid transition to the new processors. Revamp will bring AI capabilities and memory improvements. Now, I believe the M4 chips are their own. Don't quote me on that. I'm about to find out. M4 chips. Mac rumors. It says from Apple. Of the M4 processor. What do you think happened to Apple stock on the news? Are you ready for this? Take $7.26 and times it, multiply by 15.4. Apple stock went up, market cap of $111.804 billion today on that announcement. And all they're doing is putting in a chip, a different chip into their Macs. Doesn't mean they're going to sell another one, but I think the market's betting on a lot of replacement. Hey, I have the Mac and it doesn't have this chip. I'm going to get the one with the next one. $111.804 billion, $7.26. And that doesn't really sound like a lot, does it? Because we've seen bigger moves. It was 4%. That's a gargantuan move to the second biggest company in the world. Or is it still first? I think it's still first. Let me make sure. No, Microsoft is number one. And if Apple did that today, what do you think happened with the AI semiconductor stocks? What do you think happened with the NASDAQ 100? With the Dow down 2? The NASDAQ 100 was up 271 points. The NASDAQ 271 and change. The NASDAQ 100 296 and change. All the range-bound semis were strong. Up next, we'll highlight them. And whatever else, I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge.
Hi, I'm Gary Kaltbaum, host of the nationally syndicated radio show Investor's Edge. We're not just handsome radio people. We manage investors' money for a living, specializing in fee-based discretionary money management. No big commissions, just a fee on the assets that's managed. We also provide a full range of personalized services, including retirement planning, fixed income, and educational needs, all to assist you in achieving your financial goals. Understanding not all individuals have the same needs, we'll carefully evaluate your personal goals to determine a proper investment strategy. If your current approach to investing is not getting you to where you would like to be, call us to make an appointment for a complimentary portfolio review. The number to call is 888-422-5559. That's 888-422-5559. That's 888-422-5559. Investment advisory services offered through Kaltbaum Capital Management.
It's time to switch on the integrator units and get the brain cells working.
You're listening to
Hey, this promises to be fun.
Investor's Edge
The last bastion of quality programming.
with Gary Kaltbaum.
It doesn't get better than this.
And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. Thanks for being with us today. M4 chips. Apple released first M4 powered Macs this year. Yeah, I think it's Apple chips. So NVIDIA, which by the way, let me be on the record with you. We have been hoping that there's a bunch more weeks of the NVIDIAs of the world to sit around, back and fill, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. But NVIDIA today was up $35 to $906, still in the middle of the range. Has not broken out. But we would rather it sit. Broadcom up 60 today to 1382. ARM Holdings up 6 to 131. Micron up 5 to 127. So very good day. With the Dow down 2. Let me repeat that. With the Dow down 2. The QQQ was up 1.6%. With the Dow down 2, the NASDAQ was up 1.68%. With the Dow down 2, the Philadelphia Semiconductor Index up 2.42%. It doesn't sound like a lot, 1%, 1.5%. They're important 1.5% because the NASDAQ and NASDAQ 100 were holding very vital support at the low end of a very tight range, and it jumped off of it. And now, if the NASDAQ 100 can jump above the old high, which would be 449.34, there comes another leg up. And keep in mind, we don't know if Apple's going to continue higher from here. Off this news, it had a good move today, but we do know Apple is the number 2 biggest stock of influence in the NASDAQ 100. And it's been dead. And in fact, It's been an anchor. So what if it can get going? Microsoft is already right. Microsoft is almost 9% of the NASDAQ 100. Apple is 7.37%. NVIDIA is 6%. Amazon, which hit an all-time high today, is 5.4%. Meta, which is Facebook, 5%. And that's been strong. Broadcom is 4.49%. The two Googles, which are right around yearly highs, there's the Google with the L and the Google without the L, is 5.12%. So the top 7 stocks in the NASDAQ 100 are all pretty much relatively strong, except Apple, and maybe Apple's getting going. And they make up, let's see, 8 and 7 is 15, and 6 is 21, 31, 35, 41, 42, 40, about 44% of the NASDAQ 100. 7 names. 93 names are 56%. Overweight anybody? So just letting you know, that's what happened today with the Dow down 2 points. And to tell you how narrow it is and big it is, and that's fine by us. New yearly highs on the NASDAQ today were 64. New yearly lows were 121. What? With the NASDAQ up 272, the new yearly lows doubled new yearly highs. And get this, up down today, 2270 to 1797. That's pitiful for a 271-point move. Narrow, big, simple as that. I must tell you, I thought there was a chance that this would eventually happen, but I was looking weeks down the road. It started up today and surprised me. And now, anything that busts out of this 6-7 week range, and of course there's a lot of earnings to come out, well, you get the hint. Gold, the GLD up another 420. Broke out at 194. It's $219.80. The secondary breakout was 204, 205. Wow. Wow. That all-time breakout on the gold, really working. 13% from the breakout, and that doesn't sound like a lot, but it is for a metal. And we'll keep you apprised. We'll keep you advised. Silver's been coming on. The gold miners definitely better, even though on a long-term basis they're very much underperforming the metal, but coming on. But dang, just a very strong big cap, mega cap tech day. And fingers crossed, they're going to bust this sucker out of range into earnings. I rearranged my screens today to move them all in one place. I had to move Apple a little bit because it's been just comatose. I haven't had to even think about the stock. But AI, the wake-up call. And I'm going to consult some geniuses on Apple tonight. I have some friends that are just Apple geniuses. And they don't tell me to buy or sell, but they're just Apple geniuses. And they'll be able to tell me exactly what they think this means. And I'm thinking just logically, well, maybe people are going to think about replacing versus, as I've told you, I haven't replaced my phone in 3 phones. And I used to replace every time. That was the story in a nutshell. Interest rates were up a little bit again today. Semis were strong. Housing bounced a little bit. Transports bounced a little bit. We mentioned the gold. Oil pulled back a little bit. Mixed bag, though, the rest of the way. Insurance stocks, we told you recently, topped out. They worsened today. I don't know why they would worsen considering the fact Do you see what they're getting for auto insurance versus a year ago and home insurance versus a year ago? I mean, holy crap. Wow. My insurance rates have been, and my health insurance, yeah, Barack Obama, your premiums are going to go down fourfold later. How many bullcrap artists have we had in D.C.? Amazing. And that was today, ladies and gentlemen. Just so you know, I've already done my scans. I scanned 1,500 names. And I have my nice little list here of the mega cap, big caps that just are starting to tease again. Let's hope they confirm. Up next, this, that, and the other thing, and whatever else. This is the one and only Investor's Edge.
Listening to
America is talking.
Investor's Edge.
He's got to be pleased with that. The crowd is just on its feet here. He's a Cinderella boy.
With Gary Kaltbaum.
Comes highly recommended. You're going to feel better if you talk to him.
And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. Serious talk on everything that affects you. Your job, your industry, the markets, the economy, with a little comedy injected every now and then, even though we've laid off the comedy in recent months because of what's happened in Israel and the nightmarish response they are now seeing from our country's supposed leaders. I keep posting one word: hostages. 130 of them still out there. The animals are saying there's only 40. What are they telling us? They killed 90 more? Anyway, we got some questions about interest rates and the like. We talk markets, but we also talk the fundamentals here. And what do we mean by the fundamentals and not the markets? Well, there's always a cause and effect in the markets where interest rates go up could have hurt the markets. I can tell you, interest rates went up markedly yesterday and a little more today, and they still ramped the hell out of the NASDAQ 100 and NASDAQ types, especially the big ones. So you never know. But what we like doing here and explain very succinctly is interest rates. What if they keep going higher? What if they keep going higher? Well, it's simplistic. You as an individual, your cost of capital goes up. Your cost to obtain capital goes up. Capital for what? Autos, when you go buy a car. Homes, when you go buy a home. Your credit card, and hopefully you have listened to me throughout the years of never paying interest on a credit card. Always pay it off. One of the greatest schemes in history is what credit cards charge you if you don't pay it down. The number is obscene. Where finally the government came out and said they now have to disclose if you only, and just remember when you get your bill, it says the minimum is, but they finally have to disclose if you pay the minimum, you will not be paid off till 2072. So hopefully you've listened to that and never got crazy with your credit cards, because I know a lot of people that did, and let me tell you, Dave Ramsey became a billionaire by just telling you to cut your credit cards. God bless that man. I don't know if he's a billionaire, but I love the guy. If you've listened to him, you're saving 20% a year on whatever you decide to do. I heard him the other day say something about, well, if you don't have the money, stop going out to eat. Duh! Something to that effect. I was looking today and reading about people that are buying cars, 9%, 8%. I mean, it adds up. And we once told you go check out, and you can do this online, a $500,000 mortgage. Use $500,000 and put in 3%, 30 years, and go look at the payment, and then put in 7% and look at the difference. And of course, we have told you throughout the years, never get a 30-year mortgage. We think that's another scheme. You get a 15. A 30-year mortgage, you don't start paying down your home until like year 15. But a 15-year, it starts coming down today. Your payment's going to be higher, but that's the way to go because you start working on principal from day one. I don't think there should ever be a 30-year mortgage, but they put it out there because your payments are lower and you can afford this house. But I think it's a scheme, not a crime, a scheme. Go look at an amortization. You will see if your payment on a 30-year is $2,000, you will see $8 go towards principal and $1,992 go towards interest. On a 15-year, maybe your payment's $2,400, but you'll see like $500 is going to go towards principal. So it's and you're paid off in 15 years. So as interest rates go up, it affects all of that. And you know what the auto company's having to do now, which I think also is a scheme. And by the way, I'd say it to their faces. The latest scheme is all the advertisements on TV now are low payment leases. I saw one that said $199 a month. I think it was a Toyota. $199 a month, there's no such animal. And then at the bottom of the screen, in letters, the size that Superman couldn't read them, $8,900 down. Which means you're leasing a car and losing $8,900 right out of the get-go in order to get a low payment. To me, that's a scheme. And again, I'd say it to their faces. But their job as salespeople is to adjust to the markets. And with interest rates higher, it is much tougher for all. And that's why we beg you to do your homework. And when you see these ads, $199 a month, no! It's $9,000 down and $199, which begs the question, are you better off buying? You get to decide. And I got to tell you, all I've ever done is leased, and I still don't understand half of the lease. But I drive them up a wall when I do lease, and I never put money down on a lease. So just letting you know, that is the interest rate environment, and it affects everything. I started with you. It affects your small businesses, your medium-sized, your gargantuan businesses. When interest rates were at zero because of that misery, Mr. Bubble, Jay Powell, they got Austria got to float a 100-year bond at 0.8%. Anybody who bought that is down 60% on their money and will never get it out. You got to live to 100. That's what rigging interest rates did. And of course, people lost their arse on long-term bonds, including the Fed. They've lost hundreds of billions of dollars. And a bunch of regional banks and banks are down big time on it. But if they hold to maturity, everything will be A-okay. So that's a little bit on the interest rate front that we want you to know about. It's a much tougher environment, except if you got a good amount of money that you don't want in the stock market or real estate, they're paying you 5% to do nothing. Money markets. But make sure you're getting that. At banks, they're going to pay you on your cash 0.2% unless you're in a money market. I'm fighting with Charles Schwab right now because they don't have automatic sweeps. I have to buy into their money market and then sell it, and buy it and sell it. And I'm trying to convince them to go to automatic sweeps again. They used to have it. And the money markets are paying around 5. And of course, if you want to lock in, just in case you think things are going to come down, interest rates are going to come down, you can go buy a 2-year note right now. You're locked in 2 years, and you're getting 4.95%. A 1-year note, which means you're gone in a year, and then you get your money out, is 5.17. So you're getting a little more for 1 year, but you're out at the end of 1 year. And let's say yields are down to 4%, you're going to get less versus being locked in on the 2-year. So that's a little bit of, we wanted to just do a little interest rate thing today because we find a lot of people, and I'm trying to be careful with my words, don't know what the heck's going on with interest rates and what it means. Never have studied it. They hear people talking, but have never studied it, but it's vital you know about them. Up next, what else on the docket? I'll figure it out. I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge.
You're listening to
What are we waiting for?
Well, what are you waiting for?
1, 2, ready, go.
Action!
Investor's Edge with Gary Kaltbaum.
And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. Thanks for being with us today. If you've never been to the Masters and you're a golfer, you really need to. This will be I think my 4th time now, maybe my 5th. Pretty sure. I was there when Phil Mickelson won the first time. Boy, that was pretty darn good. And Bryson DeChambeau, -7. He's in the LIV, the other whatchamadoogie, the other tour. The guy hits the ball like 400 yards. And if you hit the ball straight and long at the Masters, you got a big leg up. 7 under, leading by 3. But there was some rain today, and a lot of people have some people still have not gone off yet. Darn it, I did not take DeChambeau in my little thingamabob that I do. I didn't even take Scheffler, who's like the greatest golfer on earth, because you have to pay too much. It's like a fantasy league type thing. The better the player, the more you pay. In case you don't know the Masters, the sandwiches are like $1.50. Sodas are like $1.50. And they just sell millions of dollars every day of hats and shirts and stuff. And I guess they make their bucks there. So we're flying into Atlanta tomorrow night, meet my son in Atlanta, driving over to Augusta. Amazingly, I got a hotel in Augusta for $350 when some hotels were $1,500. And then Sunday morning, drive back Sunday morning, we're out of there. He'll fly to New York, I'm flying back, and depending on my father, we'll see what happens. But my father's home, doing okay. As good as it can be at the age of 92. And that's my master's story. In the news, yeah, I might as well, because it's of import. The President of the United States says there's going to be a hell of a lot more giveaways going forward. They believe they have every right to use your tax dollars to give to people that took out a contract on a loan and have not paid it, knowing that they wanted to be a teacher but still took out $250,000, knowing they'll never pay it off. And yeah, there's some of them out there. And you know what we think. We believe if he gets his way, he's going to go further than that. We believe he's nothing more than a vote buyer. And he's winning on this right now. The Supreme Court knocked it down, and somehow never thought we'd ever get to the point where the President of the United States can give away money. But as I've said to you, because we're right down the middle, Trump did it with the farmers. Trump did these stupid tariffs. Farmers lost their butts. And Trump gave them money. Here's the pixie dust. That's not what the president's elected to do. And I don't know where it's going to take us. I don't know how far it's going to go. But we're $35 trillion in debt just about. And we're running $2 to $3 trillion deficits a year now. $2 to $3 trillion. And I've said to you time and time again, there is not one journalist that has the stones to simply ask the question, what the hell are you doing to the future of this country? How is this ever going to be paid back, and how come you don't give a crap? Our biggest worry remains logic. Economics 101 and logic. Economics 101 is pretty simple sometimes. It states the more debt you incur, the more the lenders will demand in yield to pay them. When you have a company that falls on hard times and they need to issue more bonds on the open market, their old bonds will drop markedly, yields go up, and those new bonds will provide much bigger yields. I remember when there was worry about Sprint. I bought the hell out of Sprint bonds and got 7.5%, when most other things were paying 4 and 5 at the time. Because investors demanded a higher yield because there was worry about Sprint, but I said, no way I'm worried because they'll eventually get bought. Well, we have auctions of our government debt consistently and constantly, and there's trillions of dollars coming due in the next year, and my big worry is logical. Will investors in the government bond market demand higher yields? And how does that show up? In the lower bond prices and much higher rates. And if much higher rates are to come because of that debt, that's where the potential for a spiral out of control. And remember, our central bank still has about $7.5 trillion that they bought up, maybe $8 trillion. That's the printing of money to keep rates down. They've been letting it run off, meaning something gets due, they're not buying anymore, so they have less. But there's still a ton. That's why we keep watching yields, and that's why we'll continue to keep you informed on those yields, because right now credit card delinquency rates, worst on record. Things are occurring. Have a great evening. Drive carefully. I'll be on with Cavuto tomorrow. Neil Cavuto in noon hour, Fox Business Network. And when you get home, do like we do. Make sure you hug your family. You hug your children. They will feel better. You will feel better. I promise. Stay well. Be well. Same time tomorrow. Good night, all.
This has been Investor's Edge with Gary Kaltbaum on BizTalk. To listen to past episodes or to get in contact with Gary, go to GaryK.com. That's GaryK.com.